Well, g'day guys, and welcome to another episode of the This is Raleigh podcast presented by Earfluence. Now, we love sharing the local stories and voices that makes up this vibrant Raleigh community that we love so much. And today we're really excited to have the president and CEO of the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce, Adrienne Cole, who is the first female CEO in its 130-year history. Wow.
What took them so long?
I know, right? What did and how does that make you feel? Because I know I felt great knowing I was the first person in my family to go to university, but
Right.
You are the first female CEO in 130 years. That's incredible.
Well, I appreciate that. But, honestly, when I was competing for the role, which it'll be 5 years in March that I've been in the job, which is hard to believe in and of itself, I really didn't think about it.
Yeah.
I really did not think about the fact that I would be the first woman. I didn't think about that in relation to competing for the job. I stand on the shoulders of incredible leaders who came before me, who have been fantastic mentors. And I was most focused on, can I do this and do the organization, its members, because we're a membership organization, and the community justice. And if I felt like I was up for it, and I knew I was going to have a lot to learn, and I have, it's a continuous journey, then I felt like it was the right opportunity. Only after I got in the role did I go, I'm the first woman to do this, and then you feel pressure to not screw it up.
Yeah. I can imagine that was going to be my next question.
Yeah. Now we'll chat more about the chamber soon, but I know we chatted briefly offline, but for the benefit of the listeners, we'd love to hear more about where you grew up, where you went to school, and if not in Raleigh, what initially brought you to Raleigh and how long you've been to Raleigh. Just a bit about your background.
Thank you. So I'm one of the weird ones who was born here. There's so many people like yourself from all over the world into this community that's so special. But I was born at the old Rex, but grew up in Eastern North Carolina in a small coastal community, New Bern, which is beautiful, sits at the convergence of the Trent and Neuse Rivers. I'm the oldest of three. I've got two brothers and went to New Bern High, but then came back to go to Meredith College, which it is in Raleigh, and was a wonderful experience for me. Great size for me, incredible faculty, really challenged me in a way that I don't know that you get when you're in a much larger university, although I went on to a larger university for graduate school at Appalachian State University, where I got my MPA. And then started my career in Eastern North Carolina in Pamlico County, which is a very rural commercial fishing and agriculture community, 11,500 people, one stoplight. I grew up in the neighboring county, like Craven County, just right next door. And they would say, well, where are you from? And I would say, well, I grew up in Craven County. And they say, you're from off, just not way off. Which meant that I was maybe okay, but they hadn't decided yet. And so I had some proving to do. But I was the county planner, economic development director, and department head of building inspections, emergency management, and 911. And I was the fire marshal, and I was like 24 years old.
How do you do it? Talk about pressure.
Well, I was young enough not to really be intimidated by what I didn't know, clearly.
Yeah.
But it was a great place to start. It was a great place to learn to trust your competence, trust your ability to figure things out, knowing that you didn't have to know all of the answers before you kind of go for it. I think that's particularly important for women. There's a lot of statistical information out there that shows that women feel like they need to know a position, 100% or more before they'll go for it. Whereas the guys will just say, I got 60%, I'm good.
I'm so different.
And so it really, early on in my career, taught me that I could take risks, I could take chances in my career, and that if I trusted myself and surrounded myself with people who were smarter than me, or people who I could ask a question, that I could figure it out. And so that's been powerful in my role since then. So that's a little bit about me. What brought us back to Raleigh in 2001 is my husband's career, actually. He was offered a role here. He's an environmental scientist, soil and wetland scientist, and was offered a job back in Raleigh that brought us back here. And our oldest at that time was 11 weeks old. I don't recommend moving. Starting a new job.
Doing anything at 11 weeks old.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we traveled overseas with our daughter at 8 weeks old to New Zealand. So, yeah, you can travel, but don't move anywhere.
Oh, my gosh. Starting 2 new jobs with a brand new baby.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. But it brought us back to Raleigh, and what a gift that has been, because it really then I was able to pivot my economic development career here, ran Raleigh Economic Development for 7 years, which is a program of the Raleigh Chamber. So that's how I first got at the Chamber, so 2004. Then went into the private sector for 3 years. Again, one of those opportunities that I really didn't know everything about, but went into the private sector with a large commercial construction company to do business development, client development. It was an opportunity at the right time, and I was a place in my career where I felt like I needed to go out to go up. So did that, but then ended up being brought back to the Chamber by Harvey Schmidt to run Wake County Economic Development before stepping into the CEO role. So being back in Raleigh for the last 20 years has just been fantastic.
Wow, awesome. So Meredith College, we first moved to Raleigh in 2004 and it instantly got under our skin. And we said, Raleigh's America's best kept secret, but the secret is definitely out now.
Yeah, no longer a secret.
How was your time at Meredith, and how was downtown Raleigh then? And what did you guys used to do for fun? And did you live the fun college social life back in the day? And obviously the food scene and the craft beer scene and everything's evolved since then.
So different. So I don't know that there was a craft beer scene. There was a beer scene, but not a craft beer scene.
Not like 30, 40 plus breweries within the triangle. Yeah.
And not the restaurant scene. I mean, there were some restaurants that are still some of my favorites, like Players Retreat. And, some wonderful local establishments that we went to as college students. Snoopy's. I love Snoopy's chicken salad.
Char Grill,
absolutely.
Some classics, old staples.
Classics were there.
Yeah.
And, so we didn't think that we were missing anything because there wasn't the craft beer scene or the restaurant scene then that there is now.
Yeah.
But certainly had a blast at Meredith. It was so good for me academically. I mean, you turn in a B paper and the professor would say, you're an A student, redo it. What? Okay. I'll redo it and turn it back in again. So, incredible relationships with faculty there who have since become good friends. I mean, we're still in touch. They follow my career. I've tried to be supportive of them and theirs. So incredible foundation. But Raleigh, while still a great place to go to college, was so different than it is now. And, we would come downtown, but, the one-way streets were very confusing.
I'm still figuring it out after 10 plus years. But
it's really intimidating when you're a college student having moved here from an Eastern North Carolina community and you're thinking downtown's a little scary. Well, downtown is not scary any longer. I mean, it's like we're so much to do. Incredible restaurants, great festivals. We were at the Bluegrass Festival a few weeks ago. At Artsplosion the following weekend. Did not care that it was raining. The art was still fantastic. I mean, we are downtown all the time now, and people from the whole region are, and not just downtown Raleigh, but downtown Durham. We were buying Deepak tickets last night because we want to go see Watchtower, who's coming, and my son's taking cello lessons, so we're going to see 2 cellos. And so the richness of this community has just grown exponentially since I was in college, which was longer than just 20 years ago, and then back for the last 20 years.
And I guess with the role that you have, how does it feel knowing that you've played a part in Raleigh emerging into this vibrant community that now has so much offer people within the community? So, how does that feel and how have you helped to shape it?
Thank you. That's such a kind question. So first of all, it's a team sport. So this is not, I cannot claim credit for the success of this region. I'd like to think that I've played a small part in that. But it is a team effort from business leaders who have invested in innovation and technology from the universities that we have here, not just the 3 tier 1 research universities, but all of the colleges and universities, the HBCUs who are here and call Raleigh and the region home. leaders who founded RTP and started a trajectory of, people moving here from around the world, as you both know.
Yeah.
The collaboration that we experience here is not by accident, and it's super intentional, and it's really on the shoulders of people like Harvey Schmidt, who was the chamber president for 21 years, and one of my mentors. He set up a regular cadence of meetings so that leaders from the business community, elected leaders, the nonprofit sector can come together, academia can come together and know each other and really build relationships. And from there, you're able to do fantastic things because you're operating from a foundation of trust and these relationships. And so we still foster those and facilitate and convene and bring people together to solve and to challenge ourselves to solve problems, but also see what the future can hold. But, when I drive by a project that I had a hand in, it's super exciting.
Yeah,
I mean, I worked on the Campbell University Law School move to downtown. I worked on the Red Hat Retention Project, and they're going into downtown. My team and I worked recently on the Fujifilm Diasynth Biotechnologies a project, and then announcement, and the groundbreaking was this past week, which is a $2 billion facility. Wow. And it's and only of its kind in the world.
Wow.
My team and I worked on the Apple project, but with a whole team of other people.
Yes.
I mean, you don't do this by yourself.
No.
Yeah.
But it's super exciting. And then, we tend to work hard on those things. When a project announces, that's when the work really starts, because you want to help those companies and the leaders who come with those companies to become a part of the community. But then we're also quickly focused on what's next.
Yeah.
So we don't let the grass grow very much.
Yeah. Busy. No. If there's anyone out there who's not familiar with the Chamber of Commerce, just tell us about that. Like, how many members you have currently, like how it operates, why should someone join the Chamber, and what resources and events do they get access to, et cetera?
Thank you so much for that question. Yeah, because you're right. It's such a good question, because I know chambers, but if you've not been in a community with a chamber like ours, or you've not been engaged in the Raleigh Chamber, you have no idea what we do, right?
Yeah.
And so we're a nonprofit. We're a 501c6. And then programmatically, so I should back up. We're a membership organization. We have about 1,800 members, but we work with a broader business community. So companies can join the chamber as a membership. They also can join our various programmatic areas of focus if they have a particular interest. So Wake County Economic Development is a program of the chamber. We are doing economic development in all 12 municipalities in Wake County. Also the Research Triangle Park. But then we work very collaboratively with our friends in Durham and Johnston County and the surrounding area, because again, team sport.
Yeah, totally.
We are a nonpartisan organization, but we do have a government affairs function. So we have a public policy agenda to move initiatives forward that are important to the business community. And that can be in talent and workforce development. It can be in greenways and open space. It really runs the gamut, but those things that help create the environment where companies can be successful. We also very often engage in the support of bond referendums that are important to the fabric of our community. So we ran the city's housing bond referendum back last November that was to support $80 million for affordable housing. That's incredibly important for our business community and the health of our community at large, right?
Yeah.
We ran the transit bond referendum 6 years ago, something like that, where we generated a 0.5-cent sales tax for transit in the region. So that leads me to transportation. So the Regional Transportation Alliance is a program of the Chamber. That's an effort, a 10-county effort focused on mobility. Everything from greenways to highways to commuter rail and bus rapid transit and air service. And we're pushing in to create that environment that we need.
Yeah.
We run the Triangle Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Alliance out of the Chamber. That's relatively new. We launched it in March of 2019. Gave the business community a very unique, I think, seat at the table over the last 2 years and what's happened just, around the country over the last 2 years. But it gave the business community a voice in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's led by the wonderful Danya Perry, who does just tremendous work. So we're focused on that. We're focused on economic mobility. We have a whole effort around workforce and talent called Work in the Triangle, helping people who are moving here from other places have a soft landing, right? And understand what can they do here? How can they plug in? What community might they want to live in? What's the cost of living comparison? We certainly do, leadership development and programs. We do over 200 events a year. And we have a lot of programming to support small businesses. So we work with companies that are 1 and 2 person startups up to the largest employers.
I was just going to ask you.
That's great.
Wow, this is amazing. That's a lot going on. Why haven't we joined the chamber? We've moved here 3 times. Like we could have accessed all that.
I know.
I'm exhausted just hearing all that.
We didn't have to do it all on our own.
So true. And we really do try to meet companies where they are, and we're a friendly bunch.
I'm sure.
We really just want to help people. At the end of the day, that's really what I'm driven by.
Well, the first thing that struck us when we spoke to you the other day was your energy and enthusiasm for the city. So we could imagine the whole membership base just being one big happy family.
Oh yeah. Well, in our team, I get to work with so we have 42 people who work at the chamber, and some of them make me look like I don't have a ton of energy. And so, And so, we've just got, they're a mission-driven bunch who is very committed to doing the very best that they can for this community. And, I hope that doesn't sound Pollyanna. It's not. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it. But they are really passionate about not only this place being the very best it can be today, but how do we make sure that it continues to be 10, 15, 20, 50 years in the future.
Especially when it's growing so rapidly. There's, that poses so many challenges. And I guess trying to find ways to keep the core spirit of the Raleigh community that we all love so alive and so vibrant, presents many challenges. And I'm hearing you speak a lot about collaboration. And I've heard many people who live in Raleigh say this is such a supportive community where we all believe in the lifestyle that we're living here, that it's a good one. So I feel like we're all working together to kind of maintain that. But how do you feel, or why do you think this community has that collaborative, supportive energy, and how can we maintain it?
Such a good question. And I wish I had a crystal ball, but I can tell you what I sort of been thinking about and working on and committed to. So the why, I think, goes back to things like the creation of RTP, which straddles 2 counties, and involve the collaboration of our universities. We have 3 tier 1 research universities within like 30 minutes of each other. That's remarkable.
Totally.
And then you have this incredible depth of innovation and what's happening in those colleges and universities, and also a lot of problem solvers. Academia tends to be in solving the world's problems and what is the next. And so we've been focused on that for a very long time. So very innovative culture generally. Then there were leaders in our community. I mentioned Harvey, but there were others throughout the community who were really committed to that collaboration and that regionalism. So people like Jim Goodman with Capital Broadcasting and others who were very, very focused on coming together as a region. I think I shared with you before that there was an initiative in the 90s called A Family of Communities. And that was all about how the different communities in the region, in the Triangle region, could have their own personality, like a family member has its own personality, but we're still part of a family with shared values and a shared vision and things that they were believing in or working on as a family does. At least when my family's doing the right thing. I
hear that.
On those really good nights. But you get the meaning. And so there was a real intentionality around we are better working together than if we are battling one another. Now, is it perfect? No. Is it something that we have to continue to strive for? Yes. But I do think that it's created this spirit of collaboration that makes this place special. The other thing that I think makes it special, and this is just Adrienne talking, is I think that there is a authenticity and humility here that you don't find in other places. And so with that authenticity and that humility comes a willingness to work together because it's not about you.
I love that. Yeah.
And, so the work that we, it's never about me. It is never, ever, ever about Adrienne. It's really not ever about any member of our team. It's about what can we do to help move this initiative forward, or to help move this project forward, or how can we bring the right people around a table to solve a challenge that we might be experiencing. And so it's that adage that it's amazing what you can accomplish if nobody cares about the credit. And we sort of live by that.
Yeah, I love that. That's so accurate, I think, to what I've discovered in this city. And you can definitely see that people are working to that greater ideal. And I think you mentioned you thought it was a bit Pollyanna before, but I think we need that. We need to work towards that.
It's so special. And I'm so always surprised when I get called from another city in another part of the country. Can you come and talk to us about how you all are working together?
Wow.
Our communities are at war with each other across county boundaries. This municipality is trying to battle this other, and they're like right next to each other.
Yeah.
And the companies that we work with could care less about municipal boundaries. They don't
It's just
care.
on paper, isn't it?
They want to work with the university that's going to help them achieve their goals. They want to access the talent from a geographical region. They are so much happier with the local community working together than being so disjointed. And so I get asked to speak to other communities, and it always surprises me. I'm like, you want me to come?
Wow, that's great cred right there. Huh?
But then I hear what's going on in those communities, and I'm like, y'all are wasting so much time. You could accomplish so much more if you work together on this and have the conversation, even if it's not comfortable.
Yeah. Or rowing in the one direction.
Right.
Now, Raleigh makes a lot of lists. Like you mentioned, like the top tier universities, and there's so many colleges and schools here. Like coming from Australia, it's like overwhelming. Like it's unbelievable. Like I'm still learning about universities and colleges in North Carolina and the Triangle. It's crazy. But like every list out there, like best places to live for families, best places to go to school, best places for couples or entrepreneurs. Do you really have to sell Raleigh that much? From a business perspective, like you've touched on a lot of things, but like, is there one or two in particular from a business standpoint? Like it's just a complete package, I guess.
Sure. So a couple of things to answer that question. So we cannot rest on our laurels.
No.
And we also don't need to believe all of our press. You can quickly start thinking, oh, wow, there's nothing we need to work on. There's a lot we need to work on, right?
It's that humility part.
Right. I mean, so I see the lists. I celebrate the lists. I think it's fantastic. I mean, they're metric driven, and so there's metrics that are helping us get on those lists. But how do we stay on the list? What do we need to be doing so that we don't lose that market share, or lose that free press, as you mentioned? The other thing, though, that I think we have to be cognizant of is there are a lot of great places in the country. There's a lot of really special places that are doing really neat things, and they're on a lot of lists too. And so what are we doing to stay on the list? And you're not motivated by the list, but what are the metrics that are getting you on the list? That's what we should be focused on, and how do we maintain those metrics? So I think that that's important. From a marketing perspective, we continue to market externally. One, because, while a lot of people know Raleigh and the Triangle, a lot of people don't. We are very unique in this region, and we want to tell the story of this region. And we did some perception work a few years ago that showed that the further away you get from Raleigh and the Triangle region, the less people know. So they start making broader generalizations that aren't really rooted in what's actually happening here.
Sure.
So we feel like we've got to keep the messaging fresh. Our companies really need talent. And so we want to make sure that we're growing our own talent. So we want students coming here to all those colleges and universities. And then we also want people like yourselves to choose to be here and to choose to make this place this vibrant tapestry that it is, and to continue to be that way, and to continue to be a diverse economy and a diverse community. And again, you just can't get complacent.
Like we'd never heard of Raleigh. In 2004, or 2002, sorry, we're living in Dublin, Ireland, and I'd probably heard of Charlotte and Asheville, I guess, and maybe the Outer Banks and, movie scenes and stuff like that, Nicholas Sparks and what have you. But we're watching American Idol, the finals, and Raleigh's one and only Clay Aiken was in the finals.
And taking Raleigh worldwide.
And we become aware of Raleigh through Clay Aiken. When you're in the top 2 or 3, they do the going home episode. And I'm pretty sure he went to it's the PNC Arena now. It was the RBC Centre by memory. Mm-hmm. That's our first ever exposure to Raleigh through Clay Aiken. And awesome. Then Caroline was flicking through a teaching journal, and then an opportunity to come up to teach here through a company in Chapel Hill. So that's our short Raleigh story.
That's so cool. But so you don't ever know. And had you not seen it or heard it, the other thing that we experience, which is what you all are a prime example of, is that on paper, people might be like, well, what's the deal with Raleigh? I'm hearing these things. We hear this with consultants that are working with companies and then company executives too, and talent. Raleigh's on all these lists, but I'm not sure. And then they come and visit and they go, I get it now. So there's something special happening. And I think some of it comes from the friendliness of the people. You bump into people on the street and they're happy to help. They're smiling at you. You're having just conversations with folks. I think the other thing that is unique and special about this place, and it isn't this way everywhere, is that you don't have to have been here your whole life or for decades to get engaged and move into leadership roles or to participate in nonprofits and be welcomed onto nonprofit boards and to build a really incredible network of people here. And some places are more parochial and less accessible, and we're very accessible. And it's hard to quantify that with a data point, but I think people feel it when they come. And again, you two are great examples of that.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely felt that, and I think perhaps because there are so many people moving here. So when we arrived, this was back in 2004, it was a very different place, but we immediately connected to the friendliness of this region, which I think has always been here. And now with so many people moving here and what you've just described, I think there's quite an openness there, and that allows so much of that creativity, innovation and collaboration to come through. And that that creates a buzz that people connect to, and they're like, well, I want to live like this.
And I can see myself there. And then, and that accessibility is important because we started with this, you can see a show in downtown Raleigh, or you can see a show in downtown Durham, or you can head over to Chapel Hill and eat in a fantastic restaurant there. There's an accessibility there too, from a quality of place, a quality of life perspective. Yeah. The other thing I'll say is I think people protect it. Yeah. So, I know that at least for my own role, if someone comes in from someplace else and they are coming in with sharper elbows or wanting to, get into that more competitive space, less collaborative, they get a call from me where I'm like, okay, so this isn't how we do things.
Look out. Okay.
The Raleigh way, y'all.
So, this is not how we play ball. And I know I'm not the only one doing that. Yeah. And so, in the entrepreneurial community, I think that there are people who protect the ecosystem and that ethos. In the corporate community, there are people who collaborate, even within the same industry. They see themselves as collaborators as well as competitors. And so, there's I think that there are people here who are whether they realize it or not, like it's like we don't have meetings. It isn't like codified anywhere. Yeah. But I think that there are people who are sort of organically protecting the way we do things here.
Yeah.
I guess we've become a bit of protectors too. We're in the travel space, obviously, and a lot of people moving here from out of state and overseas, and I see the comments all the time, and I understand it. Like people miss their New York style pizza or their bagels or their breakfast burrito or stuff like that. And then they want to, if they have visiting friends or family, they want to find the best New York style pizza in Raleigh or whatever. Like I get that, but I'm kind of like, show them Raleigh, like go to Big Ed's for breakfast or Char Grill or, Mojo's or
Oakwood Pizza Box
or the PR, like classic places is
Humble
like
Pie across the street.
I love Raleigh because it's Raleigh, not because it's like a future Austin or Seattle or what have you.
True.
Like you moved here for a reason, like or you left the other place for a reason, whatever it might be. But I mean, we miss our Vegemite and certain things from Australia, like our fresh seafood and stuff like that. But Yeah.
That's something to look forward to when you go back.
That's right.
So when you go visit, you can get it, right? And then, or you travel for the fresh seafood, you head to Morehead
the coast.
City.
Yeah.
Or,
Totally.
And you get it. So,
Yeah.
I think that's true. And you make a good point talking about just sort of the evolution of Raleigh. So when I started with Raleigh Economic Development in 2004, I would hear people say, oh, we need to be the next Silicon Valley, or we need to be the next Austin, or we need to be. And I found myself going, why?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why can't we be the best of whatever we're going to be?
If everyone's the same, it becomes boring. Like, keep it unique.
Right.
Keep Raleigh.
Want to be the next Austin. I mean, Austin's great. My cousin lives there. We love visiting, but we don't want to be the next Austin.
Yeah.
We want to be us.
Yes.
Yeah. And being proud of this community and this region is what I'm interested in.
Yeah. And keep the trees, please. The trees, like the City of Oaks and the pine forest, the wooded neighborhoods.
That's Greenway
when we have
trails.
visiting people from out of town, like that's one of the first things they say. They can't believe how green it is, and it's like it's awesome. And when you fly into RDU, like flying into a forest, it's
so true.
It's amazing.
We used to tell people when we would pick them up from the airport that on one side, you can't see because there's trees. Mm-hmm. On one side of 40 is the largest privately held technology company in the world, SAS. Yeah. And on the other side is Umstead Park.
Yeah.
And you can't differentiate on either side of 40, and it's fantastic.
It really is.
It's so amazing to have a state park like within 15 minutes of downtown. And then you come downtown, all the magnificent oaks that line the streets, and just keep that small town feel.
Yes. And the connection to the outdoors, which was we bought our house because it was the ugliest house on the block. But bought
that's smart on the best street.
That's what I hear. We bought it because it backed up to a greenway.
There you go. We know that we were looking for the same quality in our house.
Yeah. And we have been looking at it, and it needed so much work. Yeah. And it was, it was 20. We've lived in the same house for 20 years, and so it was 20 years ago. We had a baby. We had no money, and we had looked at this house, and I looked at it. I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. And then my husband, the environmental scientist, won't ever let me buy anything without like checking the soil first. So he went back and looked at it and like deemed it worthy, but then discovered the Greenway trail that's sort of right behind our neighborhood. And he called me at work one night. I was still there at 5:30 or something. And he was like, make an offer on that house. And I was like, the ugly one? And he was like, yeah, make an offer on the ugly house. And I was like, okay. So I made an offer on the
must be good.
Okay, you say so.
Fertile.
Bought the house, and we spend just tons of time on the Greenway system here, which we keep improving. We keep adding to it, which is another, I think, important part of our quality of life and something we've got to hang on to here. Is that connection to the outdoors.
I agree.
Yeah, we love the trail. I agree. You got a favorite trail that you keep going back to, or someone shouldn't miss when they come to Raleigh?
So the one that we are on the most often, because we live so close, are the trails that all connect to the art museum.
Okay. Oh yeah,
so we're out there all the time. So Reedy Creek Trail and all of those trails that connect, and you can go all over the city from that place.
That
and
network.
We do.
Yeah.
So we're probably up there. We were up there so often that I said to my husband, I was like, we have to join the museum. So we're treating this like it's our backyard, so we have to join the museum. We've been members of the North Carolina Museum of Art, which, another fantastic amenity here, and CAM.
Absolutely.
We went and saw some of the exhibits in CAM recently, which are just phenomenal. And the fact that we have that on a regular rotation is incredible.
Yeah.
It's really good. And so, speaking about favourites in Raleigh, if someone was coming to visit and you wanted to showcase that unique Raleigh story, where would you take them? How would you do that?
Oh my goodness, that's really hard to answer because there's so many places. So Big Ed's, I've got a friend, he's a clawhammer banjo player from Montreal, Canada. And he came to visit during one of the bluegrass festivals. And I said, we've got to go to Big Ed's. And he ordered the giant pancake that's like bigger than the plate and insisted on eating the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. The pancake challenge. You get a free t-shirt, I believe.
He just went to bed after that. It's like, you're a crazy person. But there are a lot of favorite restaurants. So we love the Humble Pie. The food's great and the atmosphere is great. And so they're a go-to all the time.
Just across the street.
So we're there often. We like NoFo. We like, depending on how fancy we're going, we might end up at the Glenwood Grill. We like City downtown, Gravy downtown. We love the food halls. So we're transferring
something for everybody.
And with a family of 5, that's important because I can't agree on anything. I've got a vegetarian. I have one that just wants meat. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yes.
One that thinks he's got a gluten allergy. So,
sounds like our family.
Food halls are fantastic for that. Certainly have done our fair share of Char Grill, as we mentioned. So we've just got lots of favorite places sort of all over the city.
Yeah, from old classics to new age, innovative places. There's something for everyone, which we're loving right now.
We love the sushi restaurants around. Yuri, and if you've not done Yuri and Carrie, it's so good.
I've got a really long list here that you've just given me of
Yuri's
places we haven't checked. I will put them in the show notes for everyone
Ajisai
as
is
well.
great over in the Village District. That's what they're calling it, Village District. So Ajisai is fantastic for sushi. So we do the sushi thing.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of sushi places now.
So good.
Like we've eaten in a lot of places, but I still feel like we haven't scratched the surface.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
What about if we were to take you out for a drink, where would we go and what would your drink of choice be?
Oh my goodness gracious. So we live really close to Bottle Revolution.
Gosh, another thing to add to my list.
So we live very near Bottle Rev over off of Lake Boone Trail.
I was going to ask you, where exactly is that?
Yeah, and it's great because there's outdoor seating and Guasaka's next door. So you can grab an arepa and your favorite brew and then sit outdoors. Perfect. And the Oak is there too, which is a bourbon bar. So depending on what you're wanting. So from a like we can walk to it perspective, those are some of our favorites. Yeah. So, and then so my husband would get an IPA, not my jam. I would get some sort of a wheat beer or lager or something like that.
There you go. Nice. Are you a coffee or a tea drinker?
Coffee, I'm afraid. I keep trying to be a tea drinker.
Yeah.
It hasn't taken yet.
It just takes the joy out of life.
Like if I miss a coffee. It's supposed to be so good for you. And I keep failing miserably. I keep trying.
So is coffee, apparently.
Yes, thankfully. Yes.
Well, it depends who you listen to.
But I don't really need coffee. Like people hear that I drink coffee are like, really? Is that a good idea?
Yeah. And we've talked about a lot of great things about Raleigh. Is there a best thing you love about living in Raleigh? Or like
goodness gracious.
I know it's tough.
It's really, really tough. I would say the best thing are the people.
Okay.
I love the folks here. And I'm fortunate because I've got a large network and I consider them all my friends. And I think that, they're the kind of people who, if you had an emergency in the middle of the night, they would come running. And that's special, right?
Yeah, it is.
And then being able to enjoy this place with those people is probably, but if I were to name, I really love the Greenway system. Really, really, really love the Greenway system. And then just how easy, the ease that's here. There's an ease that's here. There's not a keeping up with the Joneses vibe, so and I don't know if you have that in other cities, but you don't have it here.
No.
And so the ease of this place, I think, is special.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What about a least favorite thing?
Yeah.
Now, we think Raleigh's pretty awesome. We've lived in 5 countries and traveled to over 50 and we chose to live here.
So
but is there anything that
valuable.
like it could be, I don't know,
listen to us.
The heat and humidity or the bugs or any
that's good. So August.
Maybe the pollen or something.
Pollen doesn't bother me a bit.
The pollen-ocalypse.
Pollen, I just think it's kind of cool. So it doesn't bother me a bit.
Yeah.
I don't have allergies, but then I feel really bad for the people in my family who do.
Yeah.
My son is like under attack. But I'm like, oh, look at that green cloud go by.
It's so pretty.
Look at that.
Yeah.
When it's like 98 degrees with 98% humidity and you're swimming through the air, but it's just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't much that you can do there. I think that we've got to stay focused on mobility.
Yeah.
In this area, I really, really do. I think that we've got a good Wake County transit plan. We really need to make sure that we have a regional transit plan, that we're connecting the region. And I'm not just talking like Wake to Durham. I'm talking, Wake to Johnston. Those people who drive in to work in the morning, right? So we've got to keep our eye on the ball there. We have to continue to make sure that this is a place where, where everyone can be successful. So economic mobility is something that I continue to be focused on. Raleigh, not dissimilar to Charlotte, isn't great in economic mobility. So if you are poor, it's hard to move out of that place. And so as a community, we've got to stay focused on that, because it's not, prosperity is not pie. There isn't a limited number of slices. And if everyone is able to care for their families and have good jobs and get the training that they need, that's something that I think we have to stay focused on. And also, coming out of the pandemic, I think we have to stay focused on mental health
Absolutely.
and self-care. And that's for our children. I mean, our children have been through the ringer. I look at my daughter, who was a senior in high school during the heart of the pandemic, where she was full-time virtual. And it was really, really hard for her and hard on her. And so, I think mental health should be and needs to continue to be an area of focus for our community broadly.
Yes, I agree. There's such a great need there, and just what you're talking about comes back to our collaborative way of, I guess, the village raising the child. Sort of, we all need to come together and confront these very challenging issues and come up with the best solutions. And we don't. If we don't, we do that at our peril. Yes.
So we have to be thinking about housing affordability and affordable housing. We have to be thinking about mental health. We have to be thinking about talent and workforce development and career pipelines, because kids, they become what they can see. So are we reaching into elementary schools, and not just starting at the high school level? All of those things need to be things that we're thinking about, along with transportation, mobility. We don't want gridlock in there. We don't want to be Austin.
Oh my gosh, no, we do not.
We do not want to be in gridlock, and we don't want to find ourselves in a place where we can't build our way out of it. That we haven't gotten ahead of it.
Yep.
Yeah, like people come here and complain about the traffic sometimes. I'm like, you have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever spent like several hours in a car park or the freeway in LA or, Houston or, various other cities around the US? Like, Raleigh's fine.
We hear that from people who come from other places. If you're here,
obviously,
and you've always
perspective.
been here, maybe it seems awful compared to what it was.
Totally.
But if you're here from LA or Atlanta or that perspective,
DC,
what traffic?
Yes, that's me. That's me, because we work from home, so I can control when I go out on the roads. And the rare times I'm out there in peak hour, I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, Raleigh really does have traffic.
Where did all these people come from?
It's very real.
I was going to ask you what concerns you about like business in the next 5 to 10 years, but I guess it's like what things you touched on, like affordable housing and the mental health and stuff like that. What excites you about doing business in the next 5 to 10 years?
So, and you touched on this earlier, Raleigh is on the map in a way that we've never been before. And so
like Raleigh's like on steroids right now.
And so I keep saying that we're this ascending market, and that ascension is accelerating. It just feels like the pedal is down. That creates, I call them opportunities, but challenges. But we are on the map in a way that we've never been. And so I think that we will see more headquarters coming into our market, relocating from the Northeast and the West Coast. Well, headquarters are great. They become incredible partners in your community. They give to philanthropy, and so that's, and we have a wonderful business community already that they would be, joining. So I think that there's real opportunity there. I think, outside of headquarters, we're seeing other companies that, would not have considered Raleigh 10 years ago, consider the area from a job creation and investment perspective. So I'm excited about that. I think we're going to get transit right. I think we're going to get transit done at some point. I think that there are a lot of committed people who are going to want to see that happen. So we're going to see transit happen, and hopefully we'll do it in a way where it's a something that everyone rides and everyone takes advantage of. I don't think that we will not be a car culture, but I think that we can create a transit system that is convenient enough that people are using it to travel to and from work and things like that. So I think that I'm excited about that. And I'm just excited about things, the art and the culture that comes into a city that is growing into the city that we're growing into. So I'd love to see more public art installations and, more in the way of, we have an incredible music scene, but how's that going to grow? We have an incredible culinary scene. How's that going to grow? So I'm excited about all of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm
exciting
excited
times.
about. I love walking around the streets, and suddenly now you'll see a new public art installation. You're like, oh, wow, that's so cool. It wasn't there that, just arrived, and that's happening more and more as you wander around.
Yeah.
So it just adds so much.
any advice for someone wanting to start a business in Raleigh besides join the chamber?
Oh my goodness.
What
Thank you. Thank you for saying that so I didn't have to. So certainly join the chamber. So one of my favorite sayings, I say it all the time and my team's probably sick of it, is you can fake sincerity, but you can't fake showing up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can talk a good game all you want. But unless you are showing up, unless you are getting involved in this community, and again, it goes back to the authenticity. So people can see if you're authentic. They also can see through you if you're not.
Yes.
And they're going to have zero tolerance for it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just not a place that tolerates that very much. And so, show up, get engaged, become a part of this community, and then your business will thrive.
Yeah, that's definitely where the success is, planting your roots in this community and the nourishing soil that it has. That will help you thrive.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. Another business leader in the community once said that, every relationship you form and foster is like $100 in the bank.
Oh, I love that.
And you don't know when you're going to be able to withdraw it, but you're going to be able to withdraw it at some point.
Yeah.
But you've got to make that investment.
Yeah,
Nice. I like
love
that.
That's
Yeah.
a great way.
So
of
it's pretty
looking at
neat.
things. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
What about Getaways in North Carolina? You got
my gosh.
You got a favorite spot?
Yes, a couple. So my family has this old rickety beach cottage at Holden Beach. If you haven't been to Holden Beach, it's
We have just recently.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
So family beach. Not blitzy or glitzy or fancy, but the Mary J sits on the water. My grandparents bought it in 1971. My grandfather said it was the worst. He thought he was making the worst investment
Wow.
ever, but ended up being the best. I think they paid like $28,000 for it.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, it's just crazy. There's still, my grandparents' writing is still on the wall where, this is how you work this and this is how you do that. But the front porch of the Mary J with a cup of coffee, not tea, is one of my favorite places on the planet. And then we also really love the mountains of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So we do a couple of trips a year where this will come as a shock, but I don't really do sitting vacations very well.
Okay.
And so not a whole lot
We
of
don't really either.
sitting
I mean,
happening.
like if we go to a resort or a pool, like maybe half an hour, read a book, have a
Really?
swim, and then let's do stuff.
That's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exactly.
Yeah.
I might sit for 30 minutes to
Yeah.
read, and then I'm like, okay, what next?
Yeah.
And so we hike a lot
Yes.
in the mountains of North Carolina. And, there's just, and even though I went to grad school at Appalachian and we've gone many, many times, we're still discovering new sort of nooks and crannies in the mountains of North Carolina. They're just fantastic.
Yeah.
We went to Grayson Highlands Park last November, and the hiking there was magical.
Oh.
Okay.
It's so fantastic.
Yeah, not
there
aware
are
of that one.
alpine hikes that you can do that take you up into these forests that look like fairy forests, and they get like eerily quiet because you're so high. And then you could do another hike in the same park that you see incredible waterfalls and just beautiful. So I would definitely put that on your list.
Awesome.
They're just
On the
fantastic.
list.
We're going to the Boone area over Thanksgiving for a
Nice.
week, and then Bryson City for 3 nights, I believe, in November as well.
Both great locations.
Yeah.
I love Boone.
And access to the Smokies, of course, from Bryson City. And that's what we love about Raleigh, like such a central hub. Like
So
you can get
easy.
easy to get to the coast within like 2 hours, and you get to the mountains.
Yes.
And then all the small towns, like you mentioned, like Durham and Chapel Hill and how they've grown, and then the towns in Wake County, like, downtown Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, like
So cool.
I never run out of things to do.
Or Hillsborough.
Hillsborough.
I mean, or Seagrove if you want to see amazing potters, and that's just right down the road.
Okay.
I mean, there's just these. Oh, if you've not done that, that's fantastic. So Seagrove is famous for their potters, and they have this incredible pottery community, and you can go to their studios, see their kilns. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Awesome.
And it's not far.
Yeah.
So
And
I highly recommend
and
that.
Newbern, obviously, isn't it like the home of Pepsi?
It is.
Like we went there with your parents many years ago.
We did. They love
Which
it. They
was
speak
cool.
to me all the time about
It's so great.
the Pepsi
How cool
place
is
with
that?
all the bears.
It's so good.
Yeah,
And
all
then
the bears.
downtown
Yeah, the
is so
bears
much fun. Yes.
everywhere.
All the ceramic. I guess they're ceramic, whatever they are. They're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then downtown New Bern, speaking of culinary, there are some new restaurants that have popped up in downtown that they're kind of getting their own little food culture going there, which is really great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Well, thank you. I've written a really long list of all your suggestions. So I'm excited that, we had you on the podcast to share your story and the amazing things you're doing and your thoughts on Raleigh, but also your very valuable bona fide local tips.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We love talking to the locals and getting their insights on things to see and do, places to eat and drink.
Thanks for having me. This has been super fun.
It's been great. Before we wrap up, we ask all our guests if you could sum up what the phrase "This is Raleigh" means to you in a couple of sentences. A couple of words or a sentence.
Could be like a dish, a person, a building, an event.
So this is
season.
Raleigh. So Raleigh is, or this is Raleigh?
This is Raleigh. What comes
like
to
if it was a branding statement.
What comes to mind?
If you stamped "This is Raleigh" on
right.
something. Yeah.
So, innovation, energy, and home.
Love it.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go. Who wouldn't want to live in Raleigh, huh?
Right. Fantastic.
Or visit.
Or visit.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome. Really appreciate your time. We know you're super busy and got a million things going on.
No, this was
been great.
This was a treat. Thank you so much for having me. I could talk to you all over long. So this has been fun.
Same.
Yeah. We'll have to meet up at a food hall or something sometime.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Done.
That was great. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform, share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.